Once you have a performance tuning strategy and a sense of some of these common problems, it can be helpful to think more about where Power BI can be slow. This is an important part of learning how Power BI works and learning how to isolate the problem. As I've said before, there are two main user experiences that people are most often talking about when they say a report is slow. First is the refresh process. This often happens at night, occasionally every hour, or if you're paying for Power BI Premium, every 30 minutes. But usually when people say a report is slow, it's not the refresh, it's the rendering process that makes it so you can actually see the visuals. For the refresh, it could be that the data source is slow or needs optimized. If you're reading from 100 XML files, your data refresh is going to be slow no matter what you do. Or it could be a problem in Power Query. It might be, again, that you have wasted effort going on, or you're trying to do things that Power Query is not great at. Maybe Power Query is okay at the things, but you haven't given enough memory and CPU to whatever server is handling the refresh. On the rendering side, we have the DAX model. The relationships and the size of the model can dramatically impact how performant your DAX queries are. And your DAX code is important as well. Simple code that takes advantage of the storage engine and focuses mainly on single column filters, single column aggregations, and basic column scans, arithmetic, all that kind of stuff will perform the best. Code that has a lot of loops from iterators, conditional logic, and complexity will slow down. And then finally, you have the rendering. Again, with Power BI, in Power BI Desktop, you're basically running a tiny little browser. And when you're viewing the reports, a lot of times you're running an actual browser. And sometimes it's the rendering itself, whether it's the complexity of the visual or more often just too much stuff on screen, that is the problem. And then finally, to make matters more confusing, we have Direct Query, where we kind of skip over a lot of these steps. And so Direct Query is its own beast that you'll have to learn how to deal with if you're using it. But let's break it down into the two main chunks. Refresh problems can come from a number of places. The most common data source I see is SQL. And if the user has handwritten the SQL code, then query folding won't happen and Power Query can't push down the transformation it performs to the database layer. Even if the user goes through the graphical user interface and doesn't handwrite SQL, often there aren't supporting indexes to improve query speed. Next, sometimes a user will be reading from comma-separated value files or lots and lots of Excel files. Maybe they have a folder of weekly data exports. This is always going to be slow, although CSV is ideal in this case. The more individual files you have, the more you'll see CPU spiking during refresh. And part of the problem is that Power BI has to do a bunch of unnecessary work figuring out what the column headers are, validating the data, determining data types in the case of CSV, where if you had this data in a file format like Parquet, or you had it in a database, it would never have to do any of this work. Finally, even if you've optimized how you're pulling data from the data source, it's easy to create messy Power Query transformations that slow things down. As a personal rule of thumb, if you're making more than a dozen Power Query transformations for a given table, you should consider how you might push some of those transformations upstream to the data source. Power Query is a very flexible tool, but it's not a very performant one. It has a lot of limitations. On the other side of the fence is rendering. Issues with rendering tend to be a little bit more tricky to narrow down. The first thing to consider, bad modeling, specifically modeling that is bad for Power BI. As I said, one big table is great for working in Excel, and complex relationships are great for transactional databases, but neither are ideal for Power BI. You want something in the middle of the spectrum of flattened and denormalized data with one big table, or broken up and normalized data with traditional relational databases. Whenever and wherever possible, you want to use the star schema approach. Transaction or fact tables in the middle used for aggregations, connected to shared dimensions or reference tables on the outside, which are used for filtering. Even if you have the best data model ever, you may still have bad DAX code. Simpler is better. The more conditional logic you add, the more multi-column filters you add, the more iterators or looping style operators you add, the worse your performance will be. DAX is at its best when it's doing simple aggregations using simple arithmetic, column scans, and single column filters. Finally, our complex report layouts. Every single object you add to the screen slows down rendering. Take advantage of features like report tooltips and drill throughs to provide just-in-time context instead of cramming everything you can on the screen. You're not paying per pixel, I swear.